like not what they think a black girl is supposed to be. You're normally viewed as the joke. Most of my bullies back in the day were the dark-skinned black boys. I got pulled through the trenches, girl. I'm expensive.
So about a week ago, I was doing my errands and shopping in Tesco's, as I do. While I was at the checkout, I saw a group of black boys. Didn't think anything of it, just a normal group of young black boys, maybe look about like 15 years old. There were some girls as well. They were at the checkout, you know, just like messing around as, you know, teens do. And one of the girls like, oh wait, where's Beth? Where's Beth? Like Beth, 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 shouting Beth's name. And then one of the black boys go, hey yo, Blick Beth. When I heard that word, guys, I was triggered. Because I haven't heard that word since I was in secondary school. At one point, I was Beth. And that is basically what inspired me to make a video like this today. Now, if you guys don't know what blick means, blick is a term that is used a lot in like London. It's like a derogatory term that is used to describe someone with a really dark complexion. When I left school, all of that stopped. I didn't hear it anymore, but the beliefs and the trauma still stayed with me to this day, and I want to talk about it. Before I get into the nitty-gritty, number one, this video can be directed towards just, you know, black people in general, black boys, black girls, whoever. But this video specifically is more targeted towards dark-skinned black girls, because I feel like we do have a much different experience to the average black person. Doesn't mean that I'm taking away from any other, you know, black person's experience, whether you're a lighter shade of black, a darker shade of black. I'm not taking away from your experience, but I am basically just making this video to kind of shed light on how it is to be specifically a dark-skinned black girl growing up in London or just in general. And number two, I also want to just let you guys know that like I'm just speaking on my experience. I'm not speaking on, you know, the entire world's experience on, you know, dark-skinned black girls. This is my experience growing up, and so my opinions and the way I view things are all based on my experience. When I was in school, I went through a lot. I went through the trenches when it came to just growing up as a dark-skinned woman, a dark-skinned girl in a society who teaches you that you are not beautiful and there's basically something wrong with you. So I was going through it, and I got pulled through the trenches, girl. I feel like I didn't get to experience childhood fully at all. I didn't get to be a child pretty much at all. And what I mean by this is that children should be allowed to be free. They should be allowed to roam around. They shouldn't have to think about how they're being perceived at such a young age. But I feel like as a black child, I feel like I was made aware of how I look and made aware that I am different in this world from a very young age. So I became a lot more aware of who I was and how I am supposed to act and how I'm being judged and how I'm being treated differently at such a young age that I didn't get to experience childhood. I didn't get to experience that freedom that a lot of other children may have been able to experience. It's very subtle things that kind of you pick up on as a child, and children are very observant, so like it's very subtle things that like the way you're treated by certain people that you pick up on that makes you think, oh, okay, why is she treated like this and why am I treated like that? Why do teachers empathize with that child more than they empathize with me, you know? And why do people want to play with her more than they want to play with me more? You know what I mean? A really good example of this was how teachers would treat me. Children would treat me so fucking horribly based on, you know, who I was, and they would pick on me about certain things, you know, bully me about my skin tone. Like, people would make crazy comments in front of the teachers, and I feel like teachers had a lot less sympathy for me as a black child for some reason. I feel like this has all come from like the systematic racism and like kind of how children are supposed to be viewed, or what a child is viewed as stereotypically. If you think of an innocent child, what do you think of? You know, if you look at the adverts that they advertise, you know, for like certain things, people don't view us as innocent, people don't view us as children, and I think that's why teachers, a lot of the time when I was getting bullied and when I was getting picked on right in front of their faces, they don't sympathize with you, they don't empathize with you, they don't have your back in these type of situations, because they think that, you know, you can take it, you can handle it. I remember being in a situation where, you know, I was getting, you know, just ridiculed by these two black guys, of course, and you know, they were calling me names and things, and I remember God knows where I got this strength from, but I literally just picked up the fucking table and I dashed it at them. I threw the fucking table at them, guys. I threw their table at them. I got excluded because of that. And you know, when I was in the meeting with the head teacher, he did not do anything about it. He didn't ask me why I did that. He just looked at the fact that I just randomly picked up a table and threw it across the classroom at these two guys. So I just want to add that I know that throwing a table across the classroom is a completely valid reason to be in deep shit and to be excluded. But that's not my point, guys. My point is that I had been experiencing being called all these racist comments for months and even years, and you know, people are just not doing anything about it. Teachers are just turning a blind eye to it, and I'd been trying to go down the more sensible route and just trying to stick up for myself and just, you know, do this for years. And at some point you just get to a point where it's like, well, if you guys are not going to do your job and put a stop to this, then I'm going to take things into my own hands. And that's exactly what I did. He didn't stop to ask me how I was feeling or why I did that. Bear in mind, I was a straight A student, guys. Like, I did not fuck with my grades. I did not fuck, and I was well behaved. I was raised well, you know. I'm not someone who's here starting trouble and all of that. Like, no, I'm not about that. I'm a soft girl. I'm sorry. So the fact that for me to actually act out of character and do something like that means that there must be something going on. But the fact, he just didn't even think about that, because he probably, I don't want to say he does, but he probably has that view that like, I'm just acting out and I don't have any emotions. I'm just doing this because I'm being a mischievous child. Teachers are teachers. They're there to teach, you know, they're not there to be a counsellor. But at the end of the day, you still do have a duty as a teacher to put a stop to, you know, things that are not right. And I just felt like I did not have that. And that's where the whole thing of like a strong black woman comes from, because we have to fight our own battles, because people don't see us as people who have emotions. So there's just a whole little rabbit hole that I can go down about like all of the ideologies that people have in their head about black people. When you have all these, you know, ideologies in your head, you kind of subconsciously put that on that innocent black child who can't stand up for herself and who can't, you know, do these things that you think that she can. But picking up on little things like that, you take it on, you know, you start to think there's something wrong with you. I think that's where the whole term angry black woman comes from. It comes from, you know, I've experienced it in my adulthood as well, and I feel it building up in me, and a lot of, not anger, but a lot of feelings and emotions that I just don't know how to navigate in this world. As I get older, I'm really starting to understand where that term comes from, and I think it is simply a build-up of emotions, a build-up of anger from simply not being heard, a build-up of anger of people not feeling like we have emotions, and people treating us how they want to treat us because they think that we can just take it and we don't have any emotions and that we don't feel things. And so we're not angry at that situation, but we're angry at the fact that time and time again we've been through the same experiences. We've been through, you know, people not listening to us and people just bypassing our emotions and pushing it to the side because they think that we can take it. You just get to a point where it's like, bro, can you listen? Like, I'm not an object. I have feelings. And no, you're not going to speak to me in that way. No, you're not going to treat me that way. Also, just being taught from a very young age from parents that you have to work twice as hard as, you know, the average child, because we don't have the same experiences that they do. We don't get treated the same as they do. We don't have it as easy as they do. And that's how belief systems get born, and that's how you think you're different and you're not good enough, and you know, I'm a failure in society and I can't achieve anything because people treat me differently. I went through that in primary school and I thought that was the end of it. I remember going into year 7 and being so excited for a fresh start, being so excited to leave all of that stuff in primary school and have a fresh start, you know, make new friends and, you know, be happy again. And I fucking walked into hell. I thought it couldn't get worse. Boy, did it get worse. You're not viewed as the attractive one. You're not viewed as the one that people have the crushes on. You're normally viewed as the joke. I was very much like myself. I did not care. And then you start to realize that when you are yourself, people just laugh at you in a way. They basically taught me that I can't be myself and that I am a joke because I'm dark skinned, and people who have my skin tone, people who look like me, don't deserve a voice, don't deserve respect, and don't deserve to be liked. You're treated as a joke, and it's crazy. Self-esteem out the window. I remember being in this situation as well, where like everyone's laughing, and I would laugh, everyone would stop laughing. I remember when like boys would say things about me and, you know, say comments about my skin, and my friends would laugh with them. That's not fucking friend, you know, but you don't want to be alone as a person. You don't want to be alone as a child. That's embarrassing, because like your friends is basically like your power when you're growing up in school. You know, your friends are what make you cool, and you know, if no one wants to be friendless, you know, so you learn to just suck it up and, you know, kind of get used to that, and you learn that like, oh, okay, like maybe this is what friendship is. Like, I know they don't make me feel good, they don't treat me well, they don't support me, they don't, you know, speak about me well, they do everything that's opposite of a friend, but maybe this is what friendship is. They were not my friends. But anyways, yeah. Let's talk about colorism and the hierarchy of cool black and ugly black, essentially. So in high school and just in school in general, I feel like a lot of the bullying didn't even come from the white kids. It didn't come from, you know, the other races. It came from the black people themselves. It came from the dark-skinned black boys. Dark-skinned black boys, I'm not going to say you don't go through this, but there's a hierarchy when it comes to this shit. I remember most of my bullies back in the day were the dark-skinned black boys and were the people who were the same shade as me. And I don't know what that's about. And even today in this society, like dark-skinned black men, like people love them, you know? And it's just not the same for dark-skinned black women, unfortunately. And I just don't know where that comes from. It's just a whole thing. But yeah, black guys do better. Do the fuck better. It stems from, you know, back in slavery times, and I hate to bring this up, but it does, you know, it stems from, you know, the lighter skinned people being treated better and being able to work inside, and then the darker skinned girls, darker skinned women darker skinned people having to work outside, because, you know, the darker you are, the more lower on the hierarchy you are. And I guess you could say that gets mirrored in today's society. It's crazy. It's a whole thing. Now I want to talk about like growing up as someone who's not like your stereotypical black girl, whatever that means. I'm so glad that in today's world we have so many like different subcultures now. We have our like, you know, spiritual boho black girls, we have our alternative grungy black girls, we have, you know, whatever. Back in the days, we were just all grouped together and people just saw us as one way. Based on my experience anyways, I very much felt like I didn't belong to any group. I'd say I was like maybe one of 3 or 4 black girls in my year, which is crazy. It's a very hard thing to deal with when it's like, okay, so I'm being like bullied by these people, but I'm also not being accepted by these group of black girls because I'm like not what they think a black girl is supposed to be. I don't know how to put this, but essentially you could say I was more on the alternative side. I liked indie music. I liked to dance with my hands up, and but I also liked my bashment, my reggae, my I'm a very well-rounded person in terms of the fact that like I like everything. I was being called like a bounty and things, and an Oreo for listening to indie music and dancing with my hands up and all these things, and that's just who I am. I still love my indie music. I still dance like no one's watching. Like, if you know me, if I hear a good song with a good bass, I'm gonna close my eyes and throw my hair back and throw my hands up. That's just who I am. But I guess you could say back then, people would classify that as a bounty. I literally thought that there was something wrong with me because I didn't identify with what society has taught me what a black person should be like. I tried to be so strong and so tough and all the things that I thought I should be as a black woman because I adopted all of those negative stereotypes that I thought a black woman should be, and it just genuinely didn't feel right. It genuinely didn't feel like me, and it gave me so much anxiety because I genuinely just couldn't do these things, and I didn't want to do these things. I wanted to talk about our issues instead of fighting them out. But I'm so glad that I did go through all of these experiences. It really did teach me, because I tried so hard to be these things and I couldn't. It really did teach me that these things are actually me. And because I can't change them, I have to love them. And now I'm in the real world. All of the things I was so embarrassed about and all of the things that I wanted to hide so much are now actually my greatest attributes and my greatest assets, and all the things that make people love me so much now. I used to change up the way I used to speak. I tried to change it up when I was younger because I wanted to fit in, but I just can't. This is how I speak. But yeah, it's come to me as a strength now. Yeah, the fact that I am very well spoken has gotten me into so many opportunities and so many, just scenario, like things and rooms that I have really benefited from. And I'm not really kind of trying to ridicule those people who maybe do give into like the stereotype. What I'm trying to say is that you are black and you are you, regardless of what people see you as. And I'm going to say this as well, in society, they're going to view us however they want to view us. Because at the end of the day, they view us based on what they're seeing. So don't try and, if you are like a very naturally expressive person and all these things, don't try and like shy away from that because you don't want to give into the stereotype of what it means to be black. If you want to speak up about that situation, speak up about that situation, because at the end of the day, they're going to see us how they want to see us anyways. You know what I mean? And there'll be so many times where like I didn't want to be, I didn't want to give into how they see me. Things like, being like overly smiley, so like that woman doesn't see me as a threat. No, if I'm not feeling, however I want to feel today, I'm not going to smile. I'm not going to do the most because I'm looking like a threat to you. If I don't want to smile, I'm not smiling. If that intimidates you, so be it. I'm not going to go out of my way to be something like to be more digestible for you. I'm gonna be me, and however you want to perceive me, that is your business at the end of the day. Now I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna do this and you're gonna see me how you see me anyways. I'm gonna wear my hair like this, and if you think it's ghetto, then it's ghetto. At the end of the day, I'm gonna be what being a black woman means to me. I'm gonna be me, and they're going to see me however they want to see me. Their perception of you is none of your business. At the end of the day, as long as you're staying authentic to yourself, as long as you're being authentic to yourself, that is what being a black woman is. Growing up as a black woman, it is honestly character building. But I think that is what makes us strong. And yeah, I don't like to view us as like strong I don't like to adopt that belief that we are strong and all these things. I think we're resilient. I think we're resilient fucking beings because we go through so much and we still come out of the out of the other end, being amazing beings. But I don't like that term strong black woman because it kind of ties into the fact that we don't have emotions and all these things. Like, yes, I know I'm strong because I've gone through so many things and I came out the other end, but at the end of the day, like, we have emotions and we're allowed to feel things, we're allowed to cry, we're allowed to do all these things. And I just want to say, if you are like going in secondary school right now and watching this, maybe cry, bitch, cry. Don't try and be someone you're not. Don't try and, be this strong person. Cry. Let people know that, no, I'm not as strong as you think I am. I have emotions too. I need support, because hopefully that can kind of show, the teachers and people around you that, like, no, I'm not as much as, yeah, I am strong in a way. I am like, I don't know another word for strong, but like, I am strong. I also have emotions. I'm also human too, so let those emotions out. Be expressive, tell people I need help. Ask for help from the teachers. If you're, if people are making you feel a certain type of way, tell on them. Be the snitch. I don't give a fuck. Because I feel like that's one thing I would change in in growing up is that, like, I just sucked it all up because I thought that this is how I'm supposed to be, and I thought I was weak if I couldn't be those things. And that, yeah, it really created a lot of belief systems within me that I've had to work through growing up. So I think, showing all those emotions, it will save you from a lot of trauma, because I guess it will allow you to grow up into a being knowing that, like, you don't need to, bottle everything up, and you don't need to not ask for help and adopt this very masculine energy and do everything for yourself. Take that help. Ask for help. Show your emotions, because your emotions are valid, and you are a woman. Okay, you are a woman. We're naturally soft, we're naturally emotional. So the fact that they view us in a certain way, you need to kind of put a stop to that. And it's not entirely your job to do that, but I think it will be a good step in you showing others, teachers, your friends, whatever, that, guys, I have emotions too. But I feel like I'm now in an era of my life where I'm like rewriting what it means to be a black woman to me, what it means to be a feminine black woman to me. I feel like growing up, I've kind of adopted I kind of adopted a lot of masculine energy, especially growing up with a single parent, who was my mum and my dad. I love my mum so much because of it, and she's honestly she's like instilled a lot of traits into me that are honestly just amazing and that will stay with me for life. But at the same time, I feel like as black women, I do want to discard of some of those traits, because naturally women, we're supposed to be in our feminine energy. And so in the past year or so, I feel like I have been accepting a lot more help from people, allowing people to do things for me, and just sitting back in my feminine energy, because I am a woman. Yes, I'm a strong black woman, but I'm a woman. I'm supposed to sit back and receive, be in my feminine energy. So, in this era of my life, I'm kind of rewriting what it means to be a feminine black woman. What that means to me is, like, really embracing my culture, like, if, being a woman is like, we're naturally supposed to, like, I don't know, this is kind of more of a spiritual perspective, but like, we have a lot of emotions as women. We have a lot of emotions, we have a lot of hormones, and sometimes it's hard to navigate these things and hard to, like, channel those emotions into something. I'm someone who loves to dance, so in black culture, we shake a little ass, especially in Caribbean culture. So being a feminine black woman means to dance, and to, like, dance like no one's watching, and to dance in a feminine way. It doesn't have to be sexualized. If it's sexualized, that's on you, not on me. But yeah, like dancing and embracing my culture, it means turning my weakness into strengths. You know, I'm a naturally soft person, don't like confrontation. I like to communicate. I like to, you know, be very soft, and yeah, and I thought that was a weakness before, but it's actually a strength of mine, you know, like just being very calm and things, and not letting people rattle you. And it makes people look stupid when they're like shouting in your face ready to fight, and you're like, bitch, you look a mess. If you actually think about it, like if you go back to like back in the days, like black women were the women who had to, you know, look after the white woman's child when she was out doing whatever. You know, we were the people who had to stay home and look after their children and teach their children and raise their children, essentially. So we have that naturally maternal and soft and motherly energy, and that's what makes us just feminine naturally. It's in our DNA because of all of those like generations down the line. That's essentially what our ancestors had to do, and so that is instilled into us to this day. So for someone to say that we are strong and masculine and all these things, it's just like it's a complete contradiction to our nature, which is soft, nurturing and feminine. And yeah, you know, it also means like only dating people, and you know, dating people who truly value me as a black woman, who truly understand the beauty of black women. I'm very I guess you could say selective with who I date as well. And if you do not value me, not only as a woman, because women are just amazing anyway, but like if you don't value me as a black woman, like, no, you know. And I don't know, I can't really explain that one too much. I just know how it feels rather than how to actually explain it. But yeah, you know, it fully embracing the deepness of my skin. Like, guys, you know how expensive melanin is? Like, people used to kill slaves because of our melanin. Like, melanin is worth like more than gold. If you search it up, like how much melanin is worth, like we are expensive beings, and you need to embrace it. You need to embrace that. Like, you are expensive, you know. I'm expensive. No, I'm telling you guys, like genuinely just rewriting everything about what it means to be you. You know, I used to be so embarrassed of like my, you know, complexion, and now I genuinely view it as like gold, literally. Oh, and also just having compassion for myself as well. You know, there are times where I'm just really angry about like how, you know, I've been treated in the workforce and how I'm being treated in the world. And, you know, from, as I said from the start of this video, like you go through it from the day you're born, you know. So having compassion for yourself when you do feel these bursts of anger, and when you do feel like you want to cry and you feel like no one's listening, having compassion for yourself, because, you know, this is the world that we live in at the end of the day. You know, this is the system that we live in. This system is not built for people like us. So just like consciously being very compassionate for yourself, and knowing that like it is hard. And I'm not saying that like you have to put yourself in like a victim mindset, but like just having compassion for yourself, because you are doing like it's difficult existing in a world like this, you know. And just lastly, embracing my culture, embracing my natural hair, embracing, guys, I know this is not my natural hair, but I'm just saying like theoretically, you know, and but also embracing these type of protective styles, you know, just everything that it means to be a black woman. So yeah, it's like a whole journey, and it's okay to not feel like you're there yet, because I'm not even there yet. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to get rid of some belief systems that are still instilled into me today, and trauma that I'm still trying to work through. But for the most part, I just want to say, yeah, I don't really know how to round off this video. It's been a lot. It's been a lot of unpacking, but for the most part, how do I end this on a banger? Fuck. Yeah, just embrace it, man. Honestly, embrace it. Black is beautiful. Hey.